Hello, YouTuber woobers. Well, gee, it's almost Wednesday. It's 22nd still. So I've been looking over the So To Tuesday video today a couple of times, which I often do to let it sink in. And recently, within the last few weeks, 2 weeks, a little longer, my younger daughter, who's she'll be 22 the day after Christmas, um, moved to Chicago. She's lived in Massachusetts her entire life. She lived with her mother until she was 13 or so, and then she moved with me for the rest of the time. And she's had her challenges, and you know, she moved to Chicago with a pretty nice guy, and I hopefully it will she'll get away from um, distractions that happen in the area that leads her in not such great directions. So, um, Chicago, it's not that far away, but it's far enough. I was calling her up on Monday saying, "Come over and help me with the snow blower. I need your help." She said, "Well, I'm a little far away." But it's like she's been pretty lucky as far as you know, help with getting through things here in the state. She was a foster child, so she had we adopted her from foster care. My ex-wife and I, when we were married, we did foster care, and we had a number of children. She was one of them, the only ones that we adopted, and she's been fortunate. She's had um, scholarships because of her status. She's had a fairly good health care um, program, and when Mitt Romney was governor of Massachusetts, he came up with a universal health care system within Massachusetts, which we call Romney Care. And, that was what Obamacare was actually copied from, but unfortunately it wasn't copied well enough. So most of the people that have access to the healthcare system in Massachusetts, they have a pretty good plan. And people that have to can pay for it, they pay for it. People don't have funds, they have to pay less. I mean, it works out really well because the problem what it was before was is that people that didn't have insurance would just go to the emergency room when they got sick, even if it was a mild thing, just a flu or something. They would go to the emergency room because they couldn't go to a doctor because the doctor would charge them a lot of money and blood work and all that stuff. So they would go to the emergency room, and then you'd go in there for a real injury that you needed the emergency room for, and you'd be sitting there for hours and hours and hours. So it really did help out a lot of people. And basically, if you didn't have insurance, you um, there was a fine on your taxes. So, um, and I don't know what it was because I always had paid for. So it's interesting because now she's in Chicago and she's away from her healthcare system that she had here and other services that she had here, and she's waking up. And she also had a full scholarship that she didn't take advantage of well enough because you know some people think that everything should be provided, but you know what, you know, and we talk about often about the the big five, the food, shelter, healthcare, education, water, clothing. Well, that might be six, but you know what I mean. If that stuff was provided for you, you know, the thing is that they're treated as commodities, not just in this country but other countries. And it's basically survival. People are allowed to live in boxes, and people think that's perfectly fine. And granted, there are some expectations around it. People take advantage of the system, but the reality is that most people get angry is when they don't have enough, even if they don't have enough. There are people that have too much, more than too much, and they have six houses. They don't want to have to ever stay in a hotel, so they have a house everywhere they go. I don't know. I can't. But there is some expectations there. But the thing is people don't like freeloaders, for example. But if you had your needs met and then you took your time and or it's a teacher, you did stuff, you know, you taught people or you participated in the community, and it wasn't like you just sat around watching Oprah. He takes care of all your needs. You actually participate, but it's a change in the thinking process.
It's different. It's a different process. So it's you say if you say the big five people and they say, oh, that doesn't make any sense. You should have to work what you have and what you don't have. Only the strong should survive. Okay, well then if it's your mother who's not strong enough to go out and scrub floors anymore, she should just what jump off a bridge? Oh no, no, we'll take care of her. But it's a perspective. You know, so it's an interesting perspective across the board. Well, no, they'll just give your mother flu shots that'll actually make her sicker and eventually pass away because you know we don't want to support the elderly. But that's a whole other tangent. We're not talking about that part today. I'm just looking at different things. It's just interesting. Peace with enough for all is about treating people with dignity. Everybody. You see these protesters out there, which I keep bringing up. I know, I'm sorry, that are protesting, and a lot of them are protesting. They don't even know why they're there. You watch the video of them being interviewed, and they don't have an explanation that really clarifies why they're out there holding a sign. They just are out there because their friends are holding signs, or whatever their motivation is. It doesn't have anything defined. They know the system isn't working right. Well, you're right, it's not. So where do you start? Do you start a war and then, only the strong survive? Well, how often has that worked in the past? Pretty rare. So, quite rare. And this is about, hey, for most of the people in the United States, they're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving with family or friends. Strike up a conversation about just say peace with enough for all. And if they look at you with four faces, you explain what that means. Enough. Well, it always kind of comics me about Thanksgiving because there is such an emphasis about making sure that there's enough turkey and food for the homeless and the people that have less than. As long as they get a nice dinner on Thanksgiving, that's all that matters. Well, what happens on the day after Thanksgiving? you know,
What happens on 2 days after Thanksgiving? What happens when they don't have any heat, in their house, or they're living out of a box. They walk into a shelter to get a nice turkey dinner, and then they walk back out and they return to their box, you know, and people feel great because they donated turkey so that they could have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. But how much Thanksgiving food is actually throwovers or food doesn't get served? 50%? 75%?
You really wonder, you know. People have meals that are humongous, that they can't possibly eat as much food as put down on the table. That if they had the same dinner with the same people a week ago, it would probably be half the food.
Peace with enough for all. The thing about peace with enough for all is creating that space is that if people have enough, they're not going to fight people to have more. I mean, there's people that are never going to be satisfied, but they're not the ones who are starving. They're not the ones that are cold. They're not the ones that are being abused. They're not the ones that are desperate for medical care. The ones that want more already have what they need. They just want more because they feel like they're justified. So, you know, strike up a conversation. You know, sitting with a group of people, or you're sitting somewhere, and you just say peace with enough for all. You're on a train and pretend you're reading one of those stupid signs you have to read over and over again. And you just read it and you go, peace with enough for all. What does that mean? And then you sit back and you wait. See if somebody says, where'd you read that? Hey, or put it up on your Facebook page, peace with enough for all. Or share a video. When you post a video, a lot of people that I have subscribed to, they all have video channels. They actually put up their own videos. Peace with enough for all. Most people have more subscribers than I do. Peaceful enough for all. So many people are leaving the Middle East to come to the United States and countries around the world just to have a little more than what they didn't have in the Middle East. People from Mexico are coming to the United States for years because they want to have a little more than what they didn't get down there. They're not looking for a lot, and then most of them aren't looking for handouts. Of course, there's a few extremely rich people that are in the United States that want to move to Canada because they have enough for all, they have enough for them, and more and more and more, but they're not happy about the politics, so they're going to leave the country. Well, have fun. Have fun with that. Peaceful enough for all. Peace with enough for all. Happy Thanksgiving for all those who celebrate it, and if you're not celebrating it, well, hey, happy Thanksgiving anyway. Ta-ta.